Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to be getting started momentarily. We're just waiting for the viewers to log in. Okay, great. I see we have some viewers logging in now. So again, welcome. Today's session, we're going to be going over how to open an account for your self-directed IRA LLC at Coinbase. This is a very hot topic, and so hopefully you find this to be useful. I would please ask you to like this video and please subscribe to our channel for our notifications of our weekly webinar. You can certainly ask questions. Please ask questions if you're watching this live in the chat, and we'll go over the questions as we go through the slides. If you're watching this as a recording, you can ask questions in the comments, and we generally get back to those questions within 24 business hours. Also, if you're watching as a recording, you will be able to jump ahead to different chapters. If you expand the description in YouTube, you'll be able to see different chapter points, and you can jump ahead to those points. So this page here gives us a summary of what we're going to discuss. So we're going to go over some basics in terms of what is cryptocurrency, taxation considerations for those that might be just being introduced to this concept. And then we're going to talk about the specifics of how to invest or buy cryptocurrency using funds in an IRA LLC, including setting up and funding an IRA LLC, filling out the paperwork at Coinbase to open up an account for your IRA LLC, purchase, storage, practical tips, etc. So again, thank you for joining. Please ask questions. Please like and subscribe. So to lay the foundation, what is cryptocurrency? In the view of the IRS, it's virtual currency. It's a type of virtual currency that is digitally recorded on what they call blockchain. So popular cryptocurrencies are going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. There's a number of them out there, but those are some popular ones. The way that the IRS views cryptocurrency is they view it as property for federal tax purposes. So, and thank you so much for the question. We'll get through some slides and then we'll answer a few questions. We'll answer all the questions, but we'll answer them in bunches. So what that means, the view that that cryptocurrency is property, has implications outside of a retirement account and inside a retirement account. So outside of a retirement account, that means that it's when you sell the cryptocurrency, it's going to be subject to capital gains tax rates, short-term or long-term as applicable. Inside of a retirement account, just like any gains inside of a retirement account, those are growing on a tax-deferred basis. That's one of the fundamental benefits of investing via a retirement account. You even have the potential for tax-free growth. For example, if you are investing via a Roth IRA LLC. Now, one exception would be is if you're investing in mining cryptocurrency, because this could be viewed as an active trade or business. An income subject or income from an active trade or business inside of your retirement account may be subject to tax payable by your retirement account. The name of that tax is called unrelated business income tax. So that could be an exception to the concept that it's totally tax deferred and potentially tax free if you're doing it through a Roth IRA LLC. So now that we've sort of set the foundation in terms of the basics of cryptocurrency and the IRS view, let's turn to investing your self-directed IRA LLC in cryptocurrency. So one fundamental point here is that when you are opening up accounts, you're going to be opening up those accounts in the name of your LLC, which is owned by your IRA. So it's not going to be opened up in the name of the IRA, it's opened up in the name of the LLC, which does present certain benefits. And we'll touch on that as we go through the slides. So, but before you get the money in the LLC, you first have to, step one, open a self-directed IRA. So you've got to choose an IRA at a company that's going to allow you to invest in a brand new LLC. So that's not going to be an IRA, for example, at Vanguard or Fidelity or Betterment. It's usually going to be a IRA at a specialty IRA company that allows for alternative investments. So once you've opened up that IRA, you've got to fund the IRA. So you can fund it by making contributions if you're eligible to do so. You could also fund it by rolling over funds from an existing retirement account. For example, if you have a former employer plan, you could roll those funds over to an IRA, a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on the circumstances. So once you've funded that IRA, you would then set up the LLC. And we handle that as part of our services for our IRA LLC clients, of course. So you would open up a bank account for the LLC under the EIN, under an EIN for that LLC. So you can open up that LLC at a bank account of your choice. You then fund the LLC by transferring the money from the IRA account to the LLC bank account. And then from there, the LLC, really your IRA LLC, so it's an LLC that's owned by your IRA. So the sole member or owner of the LLC is your IRA, and you are the manager. So as the manager, you have checkbook control of that LLC bank account. So from that LLC bank account, the funds get transferred over to an account at an exchange like Coinbase, opened up in the name of the LLC, through which you can buy cryptocurrency. So let's dig a little deeper on these steps. So again, step one, you open up the IRA at a custodian. A very popular option for our customers is Forge Trust, just because their process is very streamlined and fees are very economical. It does need to be one that's going to allow for an IRA that's invested in an LLC. You fund the IRA by transferring funds over from an existing retirement account or by making contributions. Then you work with a company like us that's going to set up the LLC that's specifically for investing your IRA funds. Keep in mind that a lot of the trust companies, the specialty trust companies that allow for an IRA to invest in a brand new LLC, are going to require that you work with an approved vendor like us, that they can be confident that's going to help you, guide you through the required steps properly. So working with a company like us to set up the LLC that allows for investing the IRA funds. You open up the LLC bank account at the bank of your choice. You will need an EIN, of course, to do that. We would, of course, obtain that for you if you're one of our customers. Then you fund the LLC. So the trust company is going to require investment documents, such as an operating agreement. Like I said, a lot of times they require that you work with an approved vendor. So you'll be able to wire the money from the IRA account over to the LLC bank account. Then from there, the final step, the IRA LLC purchases the cryptocurrency. So it's important to note that at the cryptocurrency exchange, and we'll talk about this again just because it is quite important, at the cryptocurrency exchange, the account at the exchange is not open in the name of the IRA. It's open in the name of the LLC. And in order to fund that account at the exchange, you need to fund it from an external bank account where the name on the external bank account matches the name on at the exchange. So the name at the exchange and the name at the bank, it's going to be the LLC. The EIN at the exchange is the EIN of the LLC. The EIN at the bank is the EIN of the LLC. So it matches 100%. So let's go through another couple of slides and then we'll field some of these questions. Thank you so much for asking these questions. So again, just to highlight some of the tidbits that were quite important, you're using the EIN for the LLC. So you're not using your social security number, for example. You're opening in the name of the IRA funded LLC. To the extent that you want to store the cryptocurrency in a wallet, in a physical wallet, you store it in a safety deposit box associated with that LLC bank account. And then, of course, you're never commingling with personal funds. So this slide here gives us a good overview, just as far as, again, what is an IRA LLC? You know, it's an LLC that's owned by an IRA, or it could be owned by a combination of IRAs. It's a lot of times referred to as a self-directed IRA LLC. And all of this really stems from a court case which confirmed that one can invest in IRA in a brand new LLC, that is not a prohibited transaction. And just generally speaking, the IRA LLC is not just for cryptocurrency. It's used for all different types of alternative investments, whether you've got private company shares, real estate, syndicated transactions. You have the checkbook control by virtue of the fact that you have a bank account. So again, you as the manager of the LLC, the member is your IRA, but you as the manager have the checkbook control over that IRA LLC bank account. And practically speaking, one of the advantages, just generally speaking, is fees and timely investments. Because if your money is held at one of these self-directed IRA companies that allows for alternative investments, a lot of times they take a long time to respond to customer requests if you're trying to make a time-sensitive investment. So if you've got that checkbook control, you can act quickly. And on top of that, you're minimizing the fees from the trust company, the IRA custodian, because from their perspective, you're only just simply investing in an LLC. So you don't have to go back to them for every little transaction. You got the checkbook control. So as opposed to if they hold your money, you've got to go back to them. It takes time. They're going to charge you for each transaction typically. And again, just to emphasize, step one, filing the articles of organization with the state to form that LLC, obtain the EIN number for the LLC, draft the LLC operating agreement that's going to contain the required IRA and IRS language, open the self-directed IRA account that could really be on almost a parallel path, fund that self-directed IRA account by transferring money from a former employer plan or a pre-existing IRA account. And then once the LLC is established with the Secretary of State, and once that IRA account is open and funded, then you can fund the LLC bank account because you've got the money in the IRA, the LLC exists, the bank account for the LLC exists, and you can transfer the money over from the IRA to that LLC bank account so you can start making investments, whether cryptocurrency or, like I mentioned, other types of alternative investments. So now that we've laid the foundation, let's knock out some of these good questions. So LLC for day trading. So no, we don't have a video for that, but we appreciate that good feedback. So that would really be outside the scope of really investing retirement funds as far as LLC for day trading. I'm assuming you're using your non-retirement money to day trade. Does any of this, next question, does any of this apply if I go with a solo 401k? So some of the concepts do apply. We will be posting shortly a video specifically for a solo 401k. So I would, it doesn't hurt to participate. We certainly appreciate your participation. We're learning some good concepts here, but I would look for that upcoming video where we'll break down in detail how to open an account at Coinbase for a solo 401k. So again, thank you for those good questions. So now let's turn to the details of opening up an account at Coinbase. So you need to actually open up what's called an institutional account. That's the language over at Coinbase. And we've got the URL here. This is what the screen looks like. So you'll kind of know that you're in the right place. So now let's start to fill out, let's start to go through the fields and fill it out for an IRA LLC. So our first field here is going to be asking about a legal entity name. So here you would enter the name of the LLC. Then it asks for the country of incorporation. You would select the United States, the state of incorporation. You would select the state of organization of the LLC. Other business name, you'll skip that. So that would be like a DBA. The concept of a DBA doesn't apply for a IRA LLC to invest your retirement money. Moving down the screen, the next question asks about the place of business operations. Here you would again select the United States. The place of business state, again, you would select the state of organization of the LLC. Type of business, choose personal investment company. Number of employees, select 1 to 10. That's your best option there. Company website, optional. Skip that field, please. Then it asks for a description of the business. Here you would, a good response would be, this is an IRA LLC investment account for investing my own retirement funds in different assets, including cryptocurrencies. Then we're going to click, then we have a question about the fund assets under management. So here you would select $0 to $5 million unless you intend to invest more than $5 million. Then you would click next. So, and we got a good question. So let's get through a few more of these slides, then we'll answer some more questions. So you'll now be presented with a question that asks about which type of account you want at Coinbase. Here you want to choose the Coinbase Pro account and then click next. Then you'll be asked to describe the product features that you want. So here you would select exchange trading, and then you would select for monthly trading volume. You want to select $0 to $100,000 unless you anticipate a higher volume, in which case you would choose the best answer for your situation. This same slide or this same screen is asking, how do you plan on using our products? Here, a good answer is going to be the sole purpose of opening this account is to invest my own IRA funds in cryptocurrency. And then you'll click next. Now you're asked to enter information about yourself. So contact information. Here you'll enter your name, your email address, your phone number. It'll ask for your job title. So that's where you would enter LLC manager. You have the option to also enter your LinkedIn profile or other social media contact information. You'll then click submit. And at that point, you should receive an email from Coinbase within a few business days, giving you a link to continue the onboarding / registration process. And in that communication, you'll be presented with an invite code, which you need to retain because you'll have to enter it in order to keep going through the process. So once you receive that information, you'll get the email and you'll want to enter your LLC name and the invite code. You'll click register, where you'll be taken to the business account application center, where you'll be able to access the onboarding application, so on the website. So here we've got good screenshots of that application. So you'll again be asked to enter the legal entity name, where you'll enter the name of the LLC that's owned by your IRA. Again, you'll be asked about whether there's any DBA or trade names, which doesn't apply, so you'll skip that. You'll want to enter your address for the place of business operations. Now the application is going to ask for more information about the entity. So here for the date of incorporation / formation, you'll enter the date that the LLC was formed. The country of incorporation is the United States. The state of incorporation is the state where the LLC was formed. The entity type is going to be limited liability company. For industry, choose financial services, non-crypto. For business type, again, you're going to choose personal investment company. We'll keep going through the online application. So for which Coinbase products are you applying for? Here, you will want to choose Trading Pro. You'll select proprietary trading or investing. For source of funds, choose private investors. Continuing down through the application, it asks again about a website, which you'll again just skip that question. Now it's again asking for a detailed description of your business. So here, a good answer would be, this is an IRAC LLC investment account for investing my own retirement funds in different assets, including cryptocurrencies. And for the amount of fund assets under management, again, a good answer would be $0 to $5 million unless you intend to invest more than $5 million. Now you'll be asked for more information about your trading, about the trading account. So the first question is going to be asking about the monthly volume that you anticipate. Here again, you would choose $0 to $100,000 or higher if applicable. Then you'll be asked to enter your email address. So please enter it there. Now the application turns to asking about tax information. So when they ask for the tax ID, you'll want to enter the EIN of the LLC. You'll be asked to upload a W-9 form. And in a later slide here, we've got more information about how to complete a W-9 form for an IRA LLC. You'll also be presented with an opportunity to upload the articles of organization. So the analog to articles of incorporation. So you would here enter or upload, excuse me, the articles of organization that were provided to you by the Secretary of State when the LLC was formed. Of course, as we are obtaining or filing the LLC for our customers, we provide you a copy of those articles of organization. Additional questions are then asked about whether you do business with individuals or entities in a certain list of countries. 99% of the time, the answer should be no. Then the question asks if you're involved in a certain list of activities or industries. Again, most clients enter no. So then you'll be prompted to submit information regarding the officer or director. So that's you, as well as upload your government ID. Coinbase will then email you when your application has been processed. So as mentioned, there is a requirement to upload a W-9. So this page here gives information about how to complete the W-9. So you're going to list the name of the LLC in field 1, enter NA, not applicable for field 2. You would check the first box indicating a single member LLC. You list the address of the LLC under 5 and 6. For the taxpayer identification number, you're going to enter the EIN for the LLC, your IRA LLC, in the second field in that section. You sign as the manager and date it. Of course, you want to keep a copy for your records. So now that we've gone through the application, let's turn back to our questions. Thank you so much for asking. So the first question here is asking about S-Corps. So this presentation does not apply to S-Corps. You wouldn't have an S-Corp. You couldn't have an S-Corp that was owned by your IRA, since only certain types of entities or persons can own an S-Corp, and it doesn't include an IRA. Next question. Can we apply the same concept but for equities and options trading through Interactive Brokers or TD Ameritrade? So good question. So in the context of an IRA LLC, there's nothing prohibiting you from opening up a brokerage account in the name of the LLC that's owned by your IRA. So certainly the concept that you would do that in the name and the EIN of the LLC does apply. Keep in mind, though, that some brokerage firms do have special requirements that apply when you try to open up a brokerage account in the name of an LLC. For example, they may have certain minimum and oftentimes relatively high minimum balance requirements. So to that extent, this presentation does apply, but there certainly would be some other issues you'd want to consider, like those minimum balance requirements. Thank you for the good questions. So now let's turn to funding the account at Coinbase and processing times. So first off, with funding, you're going to fund it, of course, with US dollars. And as mentioned, the cryptocurrency exchange, Coinbase, requires that the account from which the funds are transferred to the account at Coinbase, the name on that external funding account matches the name on the account at Coinbase. So in this case, the name must be in the name of the LLC. And under the IRA rules, you wouldn't even be able to transfer funds from a personal account directly to that LLC. So for example, if you wanted to make contributions to your IRA, you would do so at the IRA level, not at the LLC level. Because when you're making an IRA contribution, you have to make it to an IRA, not an LLC owned by your IRA. So that's part of the reason that you need that LLC bank account. As far as the processing time, we are well aware that currently, at the time that we're doing this video, Coinbase's processing times have gone up significantly just because of the tremendous demand. Historically, though, and the expectation, I would say, is that they will reduce those processing times back to the typical 2-week processing times. But certainly we are aware, and we're hearing that the processing times have gone up tremendously. But the expectation is that they'll be able to work through that backlog and get as many people signed up, but get as many accounts opened as possible. So please don't hesitate to ask more questions. We'll keep going through. We've got a few more slides to touch on. Our next slide here talks about practical tips for investing IRA LLC funds in cryptocurrency. And some of these we've touched on, but they are quite important. You need to open up, and these really apply generally to opening up accounts at a cryptocurrency exchange. So if you need to open up the account at the exchange in the name and under the EIN of the LLC. And just to put it in context, to the extent that the cryptocurrency exchange is doing any tax reporting, they're going to do it under the tax identification number that's associated with that account. That's part of the reason that it's so important to open up the account under the EIN of the LLC. If you were to open up the account at the cryptocurrency exchange like a Coinbase under your social security number, and now Coinbase does tax reporting to the IRS with respect to that account, you are not going to be reporting that in your personal taxes, because from your perspective, this is an investment of retirement funds, which, as we saw at the outset, is tax deferred. So this, of course, will create confusion and issues you would need to clarify with the IRS. So on top of the fact that it would appear that you've made a taxable distribution by transferring funds to an account that's opened up under your social security number. So for all of the above reasons, it is very important that the account at the exchange is opened up under the EIN of the LLC, which of course we obtain for our IRA LLC clients as part of the process. Funding the account at the exchange, again, you need to find an exchange that allows for funding with fiat money, meaning dollars. Of course, Coinbase does. Again, you wire it from an external account in the name of the LLC. You can't fund it, as we talked about in the prior slide, from a personal account because of those IRA LLC rules. You can only transfer money from your IRA. You can't transfer it from your personal account to the LLC account, whether it's the LLC account at the bank or the LLC account at Coinbase. Physical wallet storage of cryptocurrency. You would do that at that LLC bank account, so in a safety deposit box associated with that LLC bank account. That's, again, another good reason to have that LLC bank account. It gives you that access to the safety deposit box. And then lastly, private transactions. So here, by private transactions, we're talking about outside the context of an exchange. So under the rules, you can do that. You do want to make sure, though, that you're purchasing or selling the cryptocurrency with a non-disqualified person, that it's not part of a larger transaction that's involving your non-retirement assets. So it's not combined with or tied to some type of non-retirement transactions. And that takes us to the end of the slides. So thank you again so much for the good questions and the participation. So I would suggest, thank you for that good follow-up comment on the S-Corps. So if you could please send us an email at business@mysolo401k.net, and we'll be happy to dig into your specific situation and help clarify things. Please just include your name, the name of the LLC, and the subject line so we can help identify you. So thank you again so much for the participation. We do have more time if there's more questions to go over. We're happy to do that. Please, again, like this video and please subscribe for more videos like this. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, so thank you so much, and take care.